So guys, as you can see, we're back with mrTentacle's board, the newest revision, looking really cool. Can't wait to get a Monster World 4 on there and check it out.
So, stuff you're going to need: two 10k resistors. There's also a 1k resistor in that that you'll need. Two 1N41848 signal diodes. Two, well, actually, I think it's three. Again, 0.1 microfarad ceramic capacitors. You're going to need a 22 microfarad electrolytic capacitor. I suggest getting one that is in a small package size, so something in around 16 volts. 10 or 16 volts should be loads. Then you're going to need a 2N7000 N-channel MOSFET. And then you're going to need some jelly bean logic. So we have the 74LS139. Which I think is a decoder, a line decoder, or it's kind of a decoder and a multiplexer, a DE multiplexer. And then you're going to need the 74LS74, which is a flip-flop. Then you're going to need the battery holder. With the battery holder, try and get one as low profile as you can with single terminals on both ends. And then probably one of the more expensive parts is the SRAM chip, a 62256, 256k 8-bit wide 5 volts. And as always, I'm going to start by soldering in the smallest components first. So start with the resistors, working my way down through the list.
So there's our resistors and our diodes soldered in. So you can see there I've taped down the CR2032 holder, but I've actually had to bend out those legs there just to meet on the plane, because this isn't the exact part that we should be using here. So you can see that worked out pretty well. I did burn my fingers a little because of the ground plane heating up. Just trying to push it down flush, but yeah, it's looking great. So that's the 74LS logic in and all the small stuff. So we just have to do the SRAM and the EEPROM. So this is the important bit here, because we're using a 74, rather a 27C160, we've got to make sure that pin 32, that leg goes to the outer spot. So I don't know if you can see it there, I've kind of slightly bent it out. I think it was better from that angle. Yeah, you can see there. So we're all done, we're all cleaned up. We've got our CR2032 in there. All our flux is gone, so now it's just a case of popping it in the case. So yeah guys, that fit perfectly. A lot neater and kind of not as tight or as snug as the previous revision. So well done mrTentacle. Definitely a lot easier to work with this board, a lot more space. Well, here's the moment of truth. The old geezer for the save file. So, and the world famous Sage of Save. Now, come on, Saves. Come on, Sage of Save. Oh, and by the way, want to save? Yes. Alrighty then. So, hopefully. So what I'm going to do now is turn the console off. Back on. Nice. Come on, save. Will it work? Uh-oh.
So at this stage I decided to do two things when troubleshooting. First, I was going to get the original Japanese ROM and patch file, and using Lunar IPS patch the ROM so I could make sure that it wasn't the ROM that was at fault. And I decided I was going to put sockets on both the Rev1 and the Rev4 board and try the new EEPROM on both boards.
So I downloaded the original Japanese ROM and I fired up Lunar IPS and patched it to the English version. So you can see I've desoldered the chip off the Rev4 board that had Mega Man the Wily Wars. The ROM chip for that is over here. And I desoldered the chip for Monster World 4. So, and I put a socket on there, kind of butchered 2 sockets together to make one. The plan is to test out Monster World on Rev1 to see if it's the ROM or not. I may transplant the sockets over to the Rev4 board to test it out, but I just want to figure out what's going wrong. I have a subtle feeling that maybe the ROM I was using was wrong. So we'll test it out in the Rev1 and see if we can save. So the moment of truth. Oh, I'm pushing on a capacitor, not a switch. Alright, so let's get our save on. This dialogue's a lot shorter if you do everything. Do you want to save? Yes. Come on and save. Right. We should be alright. So, come on. Please say I fixed it. Alright, so. Yes! Continue! It works. It works. So, I still don't know if that's my version of the ROM. Or is it the board? So, next, we're going to have to get a socket onto this guy. All in the name of science. So here's the Rev4 board, socketed up. I'm going to put a battery in and put in our ROM chip. Now hopefully it works, but we're about to see. If it does work, then we know it was the ROM file at fault. If not, then I must have done something wrong here. I noticed that there's a 74LS 74 on here, which was a IC that wasn't present on the Rev1. So maybe I don't need that. Maybe that's for something else. Yeah, but we're about to find out. Okay, so Rev4 board in there. Okay, so we're at that point again. Let's hit save. Come on and save. So that should be us. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit reset. So reset pressed. Come on, Monster World. Please be the ROM file. So much easier if it was a software problem. No. New game. Damn. My plan now is this 74LS74 is the only IC that's different from the Rev1. And maybe that's for a system that uses a different kind of save. 74LS74, I think I looked it up, it's a flip-flop maybe. So yeah, I'm going to remove that. I'll leave the capacitor there. I'm just going to remove the chip real quick. And we'll see. I think maybe, you know, it doesn't need it. So we've removed the 74LS74 and I am going to pop this in the Mega Drive. Okay. Flick it on and go to the right source. Okay, so that was a bit weird. Okay. Alright guys, so we're back at this stage again. So okay, we've removed the 74LS74. Let's see if it saves. Come on, save. Reset button. Come on. Yes! That's what it was! I didn't need the 74LS74. The flip-flop, that's to change it around for a different kind of save. Okay, I'm going to flick it on and off real quick. But it shouldn't make a difference, it should be the same regardless. Because that side of the circuit is isolated power wise from the normal cartridge operations. Continue! We have fixed it! There you go. Didn't need the 74LS74. Works fine without it. Oh, I'm glad I got to the bottom of that. So I have the desoldering station heating up there. It's time to remove these sockets and put the EPROMs back on. Mega Man Wily Wars is going back onto the Rev1, and Monster World 4 is going back onto the Rev4. Rev4 of mrTentacle's PCBs with SRAM seem really good. That little trouble I had may be unique to Monster World 4, but I just needed to remove the old 74LS74. The troubleshooting method, there may have been an easier way to do it, but socketing up two boards and swapping ROMs and creating my own version of the patched ROM was kind of, I guess it was a surefire way in my mind of kind of sorting it out. Now, one thing I did do afterwards when we put the cartridges back together is I got a nice label for Mega Man the Wily Wars. I'll probably get one for Monster World as well, but with Monster World 4 we're kind of in the same scenario, well, a similar scenario that I was in with Zombies Ate My Neighbours. I didn't like the Genesis box art, and since Monster World wasn't actually released, maybe it was on the Sega channel, the same as Mega Man, but because it wasn't released in America or Europe, only in Japan, the box art is just stuff other people have created online. It's fine, but I would rather keep it closer to the Japanese box art.
So here's the original Japanese box art. As you can see, it's not great. It's showing signs of age. There's kind of JPEG artifacting and stuff like that. You can just see some of the paper texture from when it was scanned. So I decided to go with all new artwork and completely recreate it. So here we are in Photoshop with my version. I managed to find a lot of the art. I had to do some kind of painting here in that to kind of get it looking fairly good. You can see that I have like English version written up here. On the back then I have like reproduction, not for sale, Dermot Sweeney 2019. Yeah, I'm trying to get it as close to the original as possible. I just have to kind of flesh out a bit of the text on the back. Well, all in all, I'm fairly happy with it. I like the box art to be kind of closer to the Japanese version because there was never EU or US release of it. So yeah, I'll do the cart label after I finish the box art. The cart label should be much simpler to do.
I'll also put up the patch and a link to Lunar IPS where you can patch your ROM. Basically, rather than give you the actual ROM file, I'll let you patch it yourself. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy enough with the boards, really good. It's great to have a copy of Monster World 4. Since I started playing it, I can't really get the theme music out of my head, so it's well worth checking out. So yeah, a big shout out to mrTentacle. Thanks for sending me on the sample boards. I'll try and do a bit more research, and when I find out a bit more about this 74LS74, I'll post something in a pinned comment in the video. But yeah, now that we have Monster World in its case, I may as well fire up the setup and get playing it.